Recording? I hope we are. Ooh, I'm hearing my video. um, Hello, Rapids fans. This is Matt Pollard, managing editor of Burgundy Wave. We're doing video now. Sometimes, maybe. At least this one time. I've been evaluating how much more multimedia or different ways in which we want to bring content to you guys that's not just written articles on burgundywave.com and social media posts, mostly over on Burgundy Sky and the other website. So we're trying video and maybe a few other things in the coming weeks. I'm coming to you the morning after the press conference, the Colorado Rapids Media Day that had Kevin Demoff from KSC as well as Padraig Smith and Matt Wells. I just wanted to give 5 really quick thoughts that I had on it. The video is up on YouTube. I'll include a link in the text with this video to that YouTube stream of the Media Day press conference. If you have not watched it yet, I would recommend that you do. And I wanted to just give 5 quick thoughts that I had. There's a few people in the Rapids media that have put out tweets as well if you want specific quotes, so I won't give some of that here. First thing I'll say is that the team is still in the market and looking to add, and in particular looking to spend the $2.65 million plus that they've gotten for Cole Bassett. Padraig Smith called out Miguel Navarro, who the Rapids confirmed yesterday to bring left back depth. What does that mean in terms of Jackson Travis maybe going on loan? What does that mean in terms of competition for Sam Vines? And a weird left back carousel that's come full circle, going back to when the Rapids sold Sam Vines in 2021 to Royal Antwerp. And then he did call out specifically they're looking to add a winger and looking to add a center back. Those are both positions where I think the Rapids have one really good proven player, either abroad or in MLS. Rob Holding at center back, and then Dante Sealy at the winger position, and then a bunch of other guys that are kind of unproven unknowns or haven't done it yet or haven't done it in MLS or a little bit young. I'm more surprised at the winger idea because you've got Alexis Manyoma, who you need to make a decision on with the loan with the option to buy. And you've got a bunch of other young players who could play in different positions, but who could also play on the winger opposite of Dante Sealy. I feel like there's a lower floor and maybe not as high of a ceiling at the center back position. So I understand why the Rapids are also looking at a center back. There's been a couple rumblings from different outlets, nobody really legitimate in my mind, out of South America, and then some of the lesser leagues in Europe that, that the Rapids have had targets there. We'll see. I am hopeful that they spend that money. That's something that was a point of emphasis for Matt Wells when we had the press conference when the team was in preseason, and they sold Cole Bassett, and Matt Wells made an emphasis of he thinks this will make us better in the long run, judge us at the end of the window, not in the middle of it. And it's okay, it's been 3 weeks now, and you've brought in a left back who you had some familiarity with before, on a free loan with an option to buy. That's not spending the $2.65 million. So we'll see what happens. And again, maybe this has happened a little bit too slowly for some Rapids fans, given it's the season opener on Sunday and none of these players are official. So it's going to be a couple weeks, particularly if they're getting someone from abroad. So that's the rest of the transfer window. That's point 1. Point 2, the front office and the coaching staff still really likes this roster in a lot of ways. There's so much about the decision to hire Matt Wells and to go for the game model that they did that is a reflection of they think they needed to add a few key positions, a few key players in a couple of key positions, and then a different coach would get more out of the existing roster that they still think is really, really good, that has depth, that has options, that has competition. Matt Wells specifically called out Jackson Travis. I've heard that he really, really likes Wayne Frederick II in midfield out of Duke. He's in his 3rd year now in MLS, I believe. And then obviously Darren Yapi, who I would say is maybe ascended out of that group of having not done it, but maybe just having not been a regular starter because Rafael Navajo is still here. So and Matt Wells had a really good line in which he said, don't see yourself as young players just coming in to train, maybe get some minutes here and there. If you see yourself as stars, if you see yourself as a starter and your play reflects that, I will see you that way. So we've heard this before from coaches, but maybe not in that specific way. And the fact that early returns for Matt Wells, who maybe doesn't have the pedigree of working with young players like a Chris Armas does, that's a good indication that he sees something in them and they've seen him coming in, they've responded to him, and then also this is a clean state that they see value in. The third bullet point that I have is just kind of an overarching Kevin Demoff taking his KSC credentials and views based on what he's done with other KSC clubs, and what then does that mean for the Rapids. And there's been some of that stuff that's on the field in terms of the, have a good young coach, have a good young core, develop that, go all in financially, go all in asset wise when we're really, really close. And then there's more of the, okay, like we get the on-field product, that'll have a boost in the fan in attendance, then we get the fan experience right, then we get a rocking home atmosphere, that gets us the revenue, we then reinvest that into the club. And all of that kind of came in, it was him, I think, having a better understanding of some of those things from 4 months ago when we spoke to him at the beginning of the offseason, but nothing with really kind of a commitment of, hey, we're going to come out with this by this time. There were references to the One Club, One Legacy, which is the branding name they have for the rebrand survey and initiative to do stuff with the fans more, but there hasn't really been any commitment. And, we're still kind of waiting. We've heard this before from KSE people, from Rapids higher ups of the, we're evaluating whether or not we need to replace the scoreboard. We'll get to that. And then gradually the season starts, and then the season becomes more of a priority. That gets pushed to the wayside, and then that just kind of quietly gets retreated necessarily. So it's good that Demoff is in the room and more hands-on with the Rapids than I think any of his KSE equivalent counterparts have been previously. At the same time, we're still waiting for that to see proof in the pudding other than stuff that's on the field in terms of let's get a head coach that we've seen proof of concept has worked elsewhere. And all of this is, again, in the context of those different teams are in different leagues that have different financial structures that are way easier for those teams. And they also bring in more revenue. So there is some chicken in the egg of the, if we get the on-field part right, we'll get more money, we'll invest that. It's no, like KSC puts more money into Arsenal. KSC puts more money into the Rams with their brand new stadium. They've gone all in with their roster spend with the Nuggets and the Avalanche. So some of that might ring hollow from a Rapids fan specific standpoint. Point number 4 I have is on the departure of Cole Bassett. I thought there was a really nice sentimental statement from Padraig Smith, I think in the final 10-15 minutes of the hour-long press conference, where he said it was really, really hard to trade Cole Bassett. He did say specifically that Cole didn't want to leave. That was something that we were kind of curious about. And again, I think this transfer is functionally on Matt Wells, in that Wells evaluated the roster when he got here. He thought to himself, I think we have a really good midfield. I think Cole is surplus to requirements. There was a bit of an illusion from Padraig that maybe Cole wouldn't have gotten as many minutes, which suggests to me that Matt Wells saw Cole Bassett as so similar to Paxton Aronson that his best role was as a backup to Paxton Aronson. We had thoughts about this last year about, is Paxton a 10, even though he was better in Europe in the 8? Do you do them as an actual double pivot to have 2 8s next to each other rather than one that normally goes forward, like how Cole would with a Josh Atencio or a Connor Ronan or an Ollie Laraz? And maybe somewhere in the evaluation it was, hey, Cole's right now a backup to Paxton Aronson. Cole, you're not going to play a whole lot of minutes. Like, are you open to leaving? But, my buddy Mark Goodman had a comment of it. It's the closest thing that he's seen in real soccer to Ted Lasso talking about Earl the dog in episode 1 of season 2 of Ted Lasso. So, still feel really bad emotionally about that. But yeah, I think officially we can say Matt Wells owns that transfer in that he's the one who initiated it. And for, I think, fans to get over what we lose in Cole Bassett on the field, off the field, in the community, what he represents to the club, it's on Matt Wells to make that happen with the team. And it's on the front office to buy the players that get there. But again, there's a value in having your homegrown in ways that you weren't going to get elsewhere. And the last thing I'll say that I think is really specific to the rebrand, so I guess I have 2 KSE big picture points, is that Kevin Demoff and Padraig Smith both said that there was going to be more to come out of the One Club, One Legacy, and the outcome of that survey that, has been at least publicly disliked in the comment section by Rapids fans. Couple that with the launch of the colorful Colorado kit, the all-black shirt that a lot of fans have been underwhelmed to disappointed to angry about as well. And he said that there's more coming on that front. And I think those statements were made both in tone and in word choice, kind of with kid gloves are done so very carefully to say that anything that they do forward is with the fans. I would love to know how many survey responses they got, what the overall survey response was, and what actions have. And do we get kind of a press release of saying, what does that next step, or what does them saying that look like? Do we see something similar to like what we saw with the end of the 2023 season, where there's a little bit of an action and then just kind of quietly retreating and hoping that nobody asks? Or do we see them move forward with something that maybe has fans engaged out front? So rather than, hey fans, what do you think about this? It's maybe town halls to start with, or it's more, it catches supporters less by surprise, and maybe whatever comes next will do that by then. But I'm looking to see, they did not rule it out, and if the public comments and responses that we've seen on social media are any indication of how the actual survey responses went, I don't know that a rebrand is something they should do unless they're going retro. That's my thoughts. Let me know what you thought of this type of content. Do you want more video content? Maybe I'll get a better microphone for this. I can use my podcast microphone, better video quality, some graphics. I'm not sure. We're a work in progress here at Burgundy Wave, just like the Colorado Rapids.